Soil profile. It starts off with your O horizon, and that's like your topsoil, and then it goes to your horizon A, zone of leaching, and horizon B, zone of accumulation, and then horizon C, weathered parent material, either rock or sediments, and then horizon R, which is just your bedrock, which is the very bottom horizon. Humus is the organic component of soil formed by decomposition of leaves and other plant materials. Parent material is original bedrock or source rock that weathers into soil. Weathering and erosion is erosion is the process of rocks and soils. It's like moving because of like natural causes such as like wind and water. And then weathering is like the chemical breakdown of a rock. Soil composition. Permeability is how fast the water will move through the soil type, and porosity is how much space there is between the soil type. Then we have our soil triangle, which looks like this, and it tells you like by percent of either clay, silt, and sand what type it is. So if you were to have 50% clay and then 60% silt and then like we'll say 50 sand, you move together to find out where the three lines meet, and you will get 50, you will be in sandy clay. You'll be about right there. Next we have pH, and here's your pH scale. And so this is acidic, and as you move up, you get more alkaline or basic. And then this shows you the solubility of different metals in a certain like pH. And so these bottom numbers are the pH, and here is like the amount of the metal you have, and each dot represents the amount that you have and what it will be, the solubility will be in the pH. Sustainable farming techniques. We first have weathering versus erosion, and weathering is a chemical breakdown of rock, and erosion is soil moving, being eroded because of natural causes such as wind or water. Then we have contour plowing, which is plowing perpendicular on a slope. Terracing, which prevents soil erosion on steep slopes. Windbreaks, they help reduce soil erosion and typically used in early spring and winter. Then we have polyculture versus monoculture. Poly is multiple plants being grown in an area, while mono is just one. Poly is kind of creates biodiversity, while mono doesn't because it's just one. Integrated pest management. Broad versus narrow spectrum pesticides. Narrow spectrum target just like one specific and should not affect anything else, while the broad, it will just kind of kill anything. You know, you might be trying to kill a specific thing, but it could hurt other things as well. Then we have bioaccumulation versus biomagnification. Bioaccumulation refers to accumulations of substances such as pesticides or other chemicals that end up in an organism. And biomagnification occurs when the concentration of a substance, or such as like DDT or mercury, in an organism exceeds its usual concentration of the substance in its diet. Then we have crop rotation. It is a really old and effective strategy, and means planned order or specific crops planted on the same field. So you'll grow something different each season on the same field. So you just rotate which crops you're growing in a specific area. And then we have nitrogen fixation in legumes. So nitrogen fixation is a process by which atmospheric nitrogen is assimilated into organic compounds. especially by microorganisms as part of the nitrogen cycle. Legumes is a leguminous plant, especially one grown as a crop, and it's a seed pod or edible part of a leguminous plant used as food. Here we have the nitrogen cycle, and so this bacteria takes in this atmospheric nitrogen and produces ammonia, and then this other bacteria right next to it here is kind of hard to see, produces nitrates and stuff, and it goes into the soil, and these plants and animals use it to make, well, the plants, I should say, use it to make proteins, and then the animals will eat the plants, and so then the nitrogen goes to them, and they will eventually decompose, and it goes back into the soil. Then we have the phosphorus cycle, and the phosphorus cycle is like weathering of the rock, and so then it goes into the soil used by the plants, or in this case it's a tree, and the animal will eat the tree, and then it'll decompose, and then decomposing, then it ends up in the ocean, kind of. I mean, it always ends up in the ocean from the soil erodes into it. Next we have cover crops. Cover crops are crops grown near primary crops being produced. They have several benefits, which include improve soil quality, erosion control, soil fertility, weed control, and encourage beneficial insects. So we have economics of farming, and we have cash crops versus subsistence farming, and cash crops are crops produced for their commercial value, while subsistence farming is produced for that farmer and his family, like, to feed off of. Next we have a slash and burn method, and it includes like cutting of like trees in a big area and then just burning it, usually in a forest or woodlands, and it's really associated with the tropical rainforest, and the idea of it is to create fields. And current event associated with that was back in Brazil when they had done it. They said that they were haunted by black carbon, and black carbon typically leaves the soil where the rainwater carries the material into nearby rivers, so it was deposited into the ocean. And they found that the dissolved black carbon continues to export from the soil at approximately the same levels each year during the rainy seasons. So, yeah. We have the Green Revolution, and it's the 70 years a day. And the first Green Revolution, was crop production was correlated with increases in acreage under cultivation. So crop acreage increased by 25% and crop yield increased by 200%. Crop yield then reached a plateau since it was easier and more economical to increase crop production through various agricultural techniques than to buy and clear new land. The second Green Revolution involved growing genetically engineered crops and produced the most yields per acre. Farmers planted a variety of locally adapted strains. For example, of all wheat grown in the U.S. today, 50% comes from 9 different genotypes. And we do have a current event associated with this. So now people are saying there's another new second Green Revolution in the fields of Asia, and it's to help with flooding, and so it's to help with the poor lands. So they're saying that lands are poor because they're prone to flooding, droughts, and salinity. Now they have developed new seeds that can survive flooding, and soon there'll be varieties through tolerant drought, extreme heat, saltiness too, making the poor lands fertile. So the second Green Revolution could be more to cut poverty than the first.